Elderly black woman hurries her way to the bus, her steps flustered in a rush. She carries it well, but her stride is slowed by thoughts about her younger days, painful baggage and stuff. Like 10th grade, she found a place, but them pageants was rough. Her smooth skin tone, legs giving chocolate deluxe, cute hairstyle, inspired touch. How these men covet those curves is worth the blush. The pastor said he was righteous and on the cusp, but in the shadows he violated her trust. 10 years later, the man she was dating triggered a deep truth that's covered in dust. A sore spot he had touched. Traversing trauma is tough, old shit but new drama erupt. Shit is hard to discuss. They gave Shorty grave threats and it cuts, made her cover up and paid her to hush. 40 years later, she tripped and fell flat in disgust. Her bags all ripped like fuck it's enough. All of her worst fears spilled open and crushed. Groceries and broken promises, trust. That's when the driver pulled over the bus. Kids moved, started helping her up. She wasn't used to that kind of kindness that much. She never had a crutch. It was hard at first and she bristled at the touch. And that night, bruh, the block chose love like that purple stuff. We all in life and often it's hurting us. That night, yo, nobody was worried about such and such. We all living life and often it's hurting us. That night, bruh, the block chose love. What up? What's going on, everybody? It is October 18th. I believe this is episode 88. And I'm doing a little different today. I'm doing this at 8 in the morning. I did the last episode last night, 9:30 or so, 9 to 10. It was a good episode. And today's Friday, and I figured, as you know, I'm doing an episode every single day for 30 days. I figured, why not get it out now? I got up early this morning. I was just thinking my thoughts. I was chilling. I was like, let's just get the episode out now so then I have tonight, because tonight we're going to go out. We're going to get some dinner at this place we like to go to on Fridays. And so, yeah, here I am, episode 88. And you'll see the title of the joint. It is My Wife is Brilliant or something like that. It should be that. And why is that the title, y'all? Why is that the title? Oh, yeah! It is the title because it's true. It's a true statement. My wife is gorgeous and brilliant and incredible. And I am super lucky to have her. And I'm like, I wake up every morning, shocked. She's still asleep, I believe. She might wake up, maybe tune in on this, but she doesn't really know I'm doing this. She doesn't know the title of it or what I'm about. Just felt like something I needed to do this morning as I was sitting there thinking about it. There's a ton of reasons I can go down for why, ways to explain how I came to the understanding that my wife is truly amazing and uniquely brilliant. But I guess the most recent example is also a really powerful example. So she's beautiful. She's fantastic. She's a nice little freak. She's got that good energy that I love. I've known that for a long time now. I'm married to her now 3 years, almost 4. What happened yesterday was an interesting affirmation and confirmation of what I knew about who Sheba is, but it also expanded my understanding and shows how big she is and shows me I got to see who I'm married to, and I'm so proud of her and so excited to be married to someone like her. Real talk. So Sheba works for an organization. I won't say the name of the organization. People can figure that out if they want. She works for an organization, and she's got this manager in her organization, the person she kind of works under, I suppose. And I'm going to call them Jason. I'm going to give this the context that, as you know, or if anyone knows me or knows Sheba directly, you realize that she in particular is very passionate about sharing truth about the moment in Gaza and sharing truth about the genocide and the colonial campaign of Israel backed by the United States, and very serious. I've been able to, from my background, we wake up and chat over coffee and over a J and discuss, politics and the media, and she's been able to see with a different lens how and why the machinations behind the media, the way that headlines are formed, the way that stories are created, and why. And this has led her to be really moved by this in a way that I've been moved, which is part of it. Just to be clear, like, I realized that, like, she's brilliant, and it's brilliant in a way that I uniquely get to appreciate. Someone else doesn't appreciate her brilliance. That's part of what I noticed too. And same for me. I think I'm brilliant. I know I'm brilliant, and I've been brilliant for a while, actually. And not everyone's gonna appreciate that. But let me get into the story. Sheba works for this organization, and they were having a meeting. They do this kind of like perfunctory, kind of like every couple of months or weeks, they get together and do a half-hour meeting, 30 minutes, where the manager, Jason, says, just ask me questions. We'll just talk about anything. Oh, I'm just a normal guy. They have a little website with like their picture on, and you get to learn about your manager and their personal life. And they've got 2 dogs, and they like football and blah blah blah. So so she gets on this call, and Sheba actually sits at my desk. So I'm not in the room. She sits at my desk to do the call. I was in the living room, but I could hear I could hear the conversation. And the conversation starts with, hey, my name is Jason. Most of you guys already know me, and we're gonna do this for a half hour, and you can ask me any questions. We're gonna talk about the things I mentioned on my list. I mentioned football. I noticed that he was very direct. It wasn't loose. Like, he was like, let's talk about the things I mentioned, football and or whatever else he had on his little, pre-delivered list about who he was. So that goes on, and they have the meeting for, it goes on for about 10 minutes or so. And, she was engaging with people. I don't know how many people on the thing. I find out later that there were 15 people, 15 coworkers on there. And at some point, Jason he starts talking about his children who are in college age kids, and campus, and that whole deal, and da 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 da. And then he calls on Sheba. So apparently Sheba had her hand up or something, calls her Sheba. And Sheba says, wow, that's interesting, Jason. So how do you deal with, I mean, obviously we're all dealing with this, the political, what did she say? What did she say? Right now, there are student encampments and students protesting for Palestine, and there is the genocide. And before she even gets to the next sentence, Jason immediately begins to stop her. It was like they were talking about all kinds of things for 10, 12 minutes, football and college and kids, and like playing around about, I forget what it was, but it was random stuff. And as soon as that word, she says Palestine, Jason asks her to stop. He says, excuse me. And I hear she goes, oh, no, I'm talking. Yeah. So now that there's a genocide, and people, we have kids who are the same ages as your children, protesting in college campuses. And then you have kids in the other parts of the world that are getting incinerated alive. How do you manage that? How do you broach those conversations with your kids? So I was like, I'm in the other room, like, oh, what? Sheba, nutty as hell. So he's like, well, Sheba, I don't think we're not going to talk about that here. This is not appropriate. She's like, why? She cuts him off. Why? Why can't we talk about that here? Again, reminder, he cut her off. And they had this whole thing, like a 5-second thing before he let Sheba continue and actually finish her sentence. So then she cuts him off. He says, why? And he's like, well, we want to talk about nice things, and I'm not saying that those things aren't important, but these aren't appropriate things for work. And she was like, what's not appropriate for work? You were talking about your children. And so I'm asking you a question about children and about parenting, and how do we navigate difficult realities, horrible, heinous, indefensible realities with our children, right? And he's like, Sheba, I'm not, he just, but as she's saying this, and by the way, I'm stuttering and handling it weird. Like Sheba is, boom, she's just saying it with poise and brilliance, and it's just flowing from her, and I'm like, oh wow. So he goes, Sheba, look, I don't want to. We can't talk about these things. She's like, why can't we talk about? Because Sheba, because and she goes, Sheba says, well, I think it's actually strange. I don't understand how we're here to meet for a half hour to talk about, just what you want to talk about, Jason. And I ask a question, a relevant, tangential, somewhat, but relevant question to what we were saying, and you can't, like, what is that about? He's like, and then he ends the meeting. He's like, okay, you know what? I hope I'm not missing anything. I think I got that straight, actually. That's pretty much where we were at. And then he ends the meeting, son. That's the awkward sound effect there, yo, show. She ends, this dude goes, all right, well, everyone, I'm going to end the meeting. Make sure you check and put, you can take 30 minutes for the, whatever, the ETP or whatever, the way that lingo they have for clocking in the time or whatever. And then Sheba goes, okay, well, Jason, it's cool. We'll talk soon. Thanks, everyone. Thanks. We'll talk soon. Let's talk. You know, somewhere in that, she also asserts, she's like, oh, I forgot this part. As they were going back and forth, she's like, Jason, honestly, we're all lawyers here. We're all adults and we're all lawyers here and we're here to talk. And I don't see why we would use this time to talk about just like, inane things that are only relevant for you, Jason. I don't get it. And I don't see why you interrupted me immediately. I don't understand why, as lawyers, as professional, upper class of professionals and white people and white men, we should be using our voices to talk about things that are of importance. Jason couldn't handle it. He ended the meeting like at the 15-minute mark, halfway before it was supposed to end. So that was nutty. I'm in the other room like this, like, oh shit. Like the truth is, I'm saying that, I'm saying oh shit. I also had hints because I've been with this woman for 5 years of who she is. And so it was an oh shit, but also like, I get it. I know who she is. And she is a very creative and brilliant and passionate and powerful person. And what she did there for herself is very similar to what she did for me when I was trying to navigate my former employer, cable news, an employer that paid me pretty well, significantly over 6 figures, while the work was not that hard at all. It was actually kind of pleasurable in certain ways in terms of like me and editing. This is kind of my thing. What wasn't pleasurable was the content. What wasn't pleasurable was knowing sort of who it was for and some of these agendas. This is back in, I left in 2020, so this is 2015 to 2020. So this is more like the Donald Trump years of CNN. It was like CNN and Donald Trump were locked in as these adversaries, and that was the content we were making consistently over and over and over. I left in disgust of that, knowing that the world is much bigger than that. Our problems are much bigger than that. Even the Donald Trump problem is a bigger, more complex and more difficult thing, that the organization I was working for had an opportunity to actually lead a meaningful conversation, like a real conversation for people to actually understand the world and to actually make real choices for themselves. And instead they truncated language and gave narration to reality that was not often, like damn near 100% of the time, just trash, avoiding things that needed to be said, giving a framing that was so incomplete that the story no longer had any resemblance to reality. Now, how did I navigate that? I knew that I needed to get out. I needed to figure out how to get out. And as I explained to her how I was seeing the world, and she at every turn was just like really supportive and listening and gave me the strength and the courage to leave how I did, when I did. Um, I don't know of any other person I've dated prior to her that would have had that kind of energy for what I was suggesting. Yeah, I'm gonna quit this job. I'm probably gonna try to, make cartoons and rap, baby. What do you think? I didn't think I said rap even back then. I really didn't know what the hell was gonna come next. I knew that I could play my hand as a independent animator. Um, I knew that I had some things I wanted to say, and that some of them would be controversial things. Some of them would be uh, challenging things. But she knew that she empowered me, man. She knew that I could do it. She knew that anything was possible. And she was just like, yo, go to it. She just like showed me how to relax. In fact, I talked yesterday about changing the patterns, yo. One of the things was I came at this, I developed this like aggressive sort of, I'm very task oriented. Let me just kind of like do this and that. And I come up with a plan and I attack it. And when I left CNN, I was like in a similar trying to figure out what to do. I said, let me just work really hard. I tried to like secure contracts and da-da-da. I went back to this kind of sense of the grind. But this time I'm like, what? This time I'm 36 years old, whatever, and 37. And she introduced the idea of like trust and um ease and rest and play, and that's important, and to relax, and it'll work out, and that everything you do is good, and you can actually trust your voice. And when you want to, and Billy, yeah, you want to say this thing, and you hold back because you're thinking about all of these different people and how they might react. Be free from that. You are smart and creative, and the things you have to say need to be heard, and you need to voice them. So please, like, and that's the energy she gave me. Okay. That's the battery pack that she gave me. So what I saw yesterday was she gave herself her own battery pack and did something that 99% of people won't do. And I say people. And this is a woman, right? Some of y'all, these dudes I know who like, they like to claim that women can't do this and that, and the men are the leaders and this and that. Imagine if I had a mindset that I didn't want to learn from Sheba. Imagine if I had a mindset where I didn't want to sit there and notice who she is and learn from her. Or in fact, imagine if I had a mindset where I was threatened by this kind of expression of hers, this kind of powerful, you know, freedom, using her voice, challenging things, stepping into her best self. Um, some of y'all wouldn't do it. Some of y'all would be threatened by that. Some of y'all would be very upset by that, But it's also the case that some people would have been upset by me in my, in how I left my company and in the way I had to do my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that comes back to that. Like I truly, without a doubt, know that it's brilliant to see and notice that like not only is she amazing, objectively brilliant and beautiful and fantastic, but she's perfect, and she's perfect precisely because her perfections, the things that I find perfect about her, some of y'all niggas would find as flaws. Some of y'all would define as flaws because we've been taught to look only for what things like, oh, can she cook? She got a big butt. Yes, she got that. Yeah, she can cook, by the way. Yeah, she could cook. Okay. Um, sex and what, support, maybe like emotional support. Is she soft and touching? Yes, she's that. sexy, and she's brilliant, smart, clever, creative, and powerful and passionate. I've used that word for her. I used the word powerful for her one day on an Instagram live when I first started doing an Instagram live, and it just came out. I didn't think to call her powerful. I was talking about we had just gotten married, and I was like, yeah, she was powerful. That was the word that came out because that was the word. That was the word. I felt that before I even had a logic behind it. And I think yesterday shows exactly, who she is. And it goes back to that premise of tested. I know that like I'm telling you that she inspires me. Imagine if I wasn't emotionally secure enough or whatever my mental state was that I didn't allow her to inspire me. Imagine if I had a story where I could only be inspired from men, or I can only be inspired from black men, because these are the only archetypes that I can become inspired by or aim towards or see value in. Imagine if I had that limitation in my mind, how different my life could potentially be. I enjoy where I am. I'm beside myself with it. And I'm telling you this story and I'm telling you the title of this video because, and I'm explaining to you just one facet of it, and I've said it before, like I've dated lots of different women and I've never dated someone who, I did receive it early on as a masculine trait when I noticed that she wanted her voice. I've dated women who, like, if they saw me doing my thing, they might be supportive. They're like, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, my boyfriend does these things. And I loved that. And I appreciated that. That position. I can play that role. To notice that she'll do that. She's like, my husband does these things. She's super proud of me, but that her voice is also important and that she wants to cultivate her voice and she wants to use her voice. That's why that's one of the reasons she started doing startup. Hold on.
What the hell is even that?
That's why she started doing stand up and crushing it at stand up. She's taking a break in the last year or so, but she'll be making a comeback soon. She wants to use her voice, and when she's doing stand up, a different dude, like the way she goes at it, like it's been a process for me to notice little anxieties as she talks about me and her, little anxieties as she gets into politics, as she uses words that I wouldn't use because of my astute background in national politics, in the Congress and in media. I've learned all these little boundaries about what is safe and what is this and that, and she's free from that, and she's like, she goes for it, and she's brilliant and hilarious, and the crowd is bugging. Can you imagine me holding some kind of weird issue or resentment or failing to enjoy the moment, failing to be proud? Nah, she don't deserve that, and it would be a detriment to her. It would be slowing her down. So I even earlier on when I did have issues, I'm gonna keep it a buck. When I did feel anxieties, I had to process it. I processed it. I thought about it. Before even talking to her, I came to an understanding about sort of what it meant about me, about what my anxiety is the source of. It's not about the words she's using. Her words are her words. It is something about my sense, about my ego and the archetypes and how I wish to present, what that meant. And then once I understood that, I talked to her like, yo, here's what I'm saying. I actually got weird when you said these things and these were bothering me, and here's how I process. And we talked about it, and it really, really, like, it made both of us better. That ability. And so again, I'm very happy and proud and excited to be married to Sheba Newman Blunt. And I know that she's proud and happy to be excited, and me too, married to me too. Hey baby, she woke up, she's on. And it was it's just been a crazy dream, guys. And I'm doing this 30 for 30. We getting it all out. We talking it all out. I'm glad I'm doing this. We're gonna keep going and getting more comfortable. But that is the type of woman that I have. She is not just a supporter and a cook and a sex slut. She is um, she's a force and she's a leader, and she's nurturing, and she's also hilarious. and and it's great. It puts the battery in me to make the music, you know, and to do everything I'm doing and to speak with clarity and confidence. And so I would encourage everyone to take this testimony in part to say that, yo, I think we should broaden what I wasn't raised on a sense of like looking for a partner who was all of these things. I was raised on a sense of looking for a partner who had very few narrow categories. You see it all the time. You know what those categories are, especially as a boy or a man. We're looking for women who have, you know, a couple things. And probably, I guess, women have a couple things for the men too. You really do kind of get what you pay for. You really do kind of get what you not pay for. You get what you look for. You get what you look for. You get what you look for. And I think it'll behoove everybody to like, yo, wake up. Wake up. Accept women in their fullness. Encourage women in their fullness. And, you know, she is a mirror and reflection of you. And so all these limitations, if you have a limitation that you're imposing on her, it's also a limitation you're imposing on yourself. How about that? And that's all I got. She was on here. She says, what a beautiful thing to wake up to. Great job, B. You got this. Yeah. All right, y'all. That's my episode. That is the 5th episode, episode 88. I'm gonna let y'all out with the rest of my song Purple Stuff. All right, here it is.
Old black man walks home
Verse
from the
2.
train. Long route
Peace, y'all.
taken, strolling the rain. No parasol, just thoughts on his brain. Bills harder to pay him, but as a man got
It's
no
all
food to
one
complain. The people
Hold up,
at
the
his
tagline
house
is,
slow to
it's
pain.
all
Kids
one
growing in
thing.
age.
Yeah?
All that he sacrificed, put some respect on his name.
Peace.
The last few years going insane. More like 30 plus hiding his pain. His ex-wife said she don't want him in her life no more. They firstborn killed over a chain. I guess the love just couldn't keep from under the strain. In his chest he's still holding some shame. Maybe he could have been a better pop. Hit the lottery shot, opportunity ain't knock if it came. And sometimes the world feels lost, heavy and stained. This shit don't change, we suffer in vain. Just then, he got a text from his youngest son like, hey, where you at, dad? I made you a plate. He texted back, great, I'm on the way. Quick in this pace, tears on his face, they blended in the rain. And that night, bruh, the block chose love like that purple stuff. We all in life and often it's hurting us. That night, yo, nobody was worried about such and such. We all living life and often it's hurting us. And that night, bruh, the block chose love like that purple stuff. We all in life and often it's hurting us. That night, yo, nobody was worried about such and such. We all living life and often it's hurting us.